When you hear the word hoarding, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably one of those reality TV shows, right? With rooms just piled to the ceiling with stuff. But behind that really dramatic image, there's a complex and, honestly, a very misunderstood mental health condition. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack the clinical reality of hoarding disorder. We're going to move beyond the mess to really understand the mind behind it. Okay, so let's just dive right in by tackling the biggest question right off the bat. Where's the line between having a passionate collection and having a hoarding disorder? Because, they can look kind of similar at first glance, but psychologically, they are worlds apart. And this slide really gets to the heart of it. On one side, you've got collecting. It's all about organization, pride, sharing it with people. Think of a beautifully arranged stamp album or a shelf full of treasured figurines. It's a social thing. But hoarding, well, that's defined by disarray. The possessions aren't displayed, they're just accumulated. They're often hidden away out of shame, and they end up clogging the actual living spaces. So, okay, if it's not a hobby that's just gotten out of hand, then what is it? To answer that, we have to look at how mental health professionals officially define and diagnose hoarding disorder. And let me tell you, it's way more specific than just having a messy house. According to the official diagnostic criteria, it really boils down to these three key things. First, there's this persistent, real difficulty in getting rid of items. Second, this pileup clutters living areas so much that they can't be used for what they were made for, like you literally can't cook in the kitchen or sleep in the bed. And third, and this is probably the most important part, the behavior is causing real significant distress or major problems in a person's life. And what's so telling is what is being hoarded. As you can see here, we're often not talking about valuable treasures. The most common items are just everyday things: newspapers, mail, clothes, boxes. The problem isn't the monetary value of the stuff, but the sheer volume and that powerful emotional inability to let any of it go. And that brings us right to the core of the issue. Why is it so hard to let go? The answer has nothing to do with being lazy or disorganized. It's actually rooted in some really deep-seated psychological patterns, emotional attachments, and even the way the brain functions. To even start to get our heads around this, we need to talk about this fascinating concept called anthropomorphism. It's the tendency we all have to give human-like qualities to non-human things. Now, lots of us might do this playfully with, say, a favorite plant or a car, but in hoarding, this can take on a much more serious emotional weight. This quote from the Association for Behavioral and Cognitive Therapies wow, it gets right to it. For someone with hoarding disorder, throwing away an old newspaper might feel like they're hurting a friend. There's this huge sense of responsibility for the object's well-being, which makes getting rid of it an act that can cause just profound guilt and anxiety. And get this intense emotional connection isn't just a feeling. It actually seems to have a real basis in brain activity. Research using fMRI scans has shown that when people with hoarding disorder are making decisions about their own possessions, their brains actually light up and function differently. This points to real neurological factors that are driving this behavior. So what you end up with is this incredibly powerful emotional cycle. There's a real rush of joy in acquiring something new, but it's matched by an equally intense fear or grief or even anger at the mere thought of discarding anything. It's an emotional trap that makes it almost impossible to break that pattern of accumulation. So, what does all this actually look like in the real world? Well, the consequences can be incredibly severe. To help figure out how bad a situation is, professionals use tools like the clutter hoarding scale. It's a way to go from a subjective idea of messy to an objective rating of risk, ranked from level 1 all the way up to level 5. And I mean, just look at this comparison. It is absolutely stark. On the left, you've got a level 1 home, totally functional. But as the disorder progresses to level 5 on the right, you're seeing a complete loss of function. Hallways are blocked, kitchens are totally unusable, and the home itself has become a serious hazard. And the risks here are incredibly serious. We're talking about piles of paper creating a massive fire hazard, blocked pathways leading to dangerous falls. The environment can attract pests, cause structural damage to the house, and lead to just profound social isolation, family conflict, and even the risk of eviction and homelessness. The consequences go way beyond just the individual. Now, when faced with a situation like this, the most common impulse from family or friends is to just go in and clear everything out. But this approach, as well-intentioned as it usually is based on a huge misunderstanding of what the disorder actually is. It seems like the logical solution, right? get a fresh start. But the research and the clinical experience on this is overwhelmingly clear. And the answer is absolutely critical for anyone who's trying to help. And here it is, the crucial takeaway from the experts. A forced cleanout just doesn't work. It fails because it doesn't touch the deep-seated emotional attachments and anxieties. To the person, it can feel like a really traumatic violation. And without treating that root cause, the clutter almost always comes back, sometimes even faster than before. So what actually works? Well, the effective path forward is therapeutic, not just logistical. Treatment, usually a form of cognitive behavioral therapy, is all about helping the person challenge their own beliefs about their possessions. It involves practicing decision-making and discarding in a safe, supported way, and building new skills to manage the anxiety and prevent a relapse. It's a slow process of healing, not a quick fix. So ultimately, understanding hoarding disorder really means shifting our entire view from one of judgment to one of empathy. This isn't a choice or a moral failing. It's a condition with real neurological and psychological roots. And thinking about it that way, well, that's the essential first step toward providing meaningful, effective, and truly compassionate support.